everybody. Welcome back to Pretend World's Real People. As always, I'm Tyler, and I am almost fully recovered from a massive allergy attack, question mark. There's been a lot of dust and smoke in Colorado, and for some reason my left eye just decided to completely swell up and I couldn't see out of it for, I don't know, most of the weekend. But I'm on the mend, taking medicine. I'm listening to my girlfriend when she says, take your medicine and stop being stubborn. So hopefully my voice isn't too nasally for this recording. Outside of that, what else has been going on? Started rollerblading again. May have mentioned that in last week's episode. It's been a lot of fun. Haven't fallen yet, but I've gotten back into a groove, and it just feels great to do some alternative cardio that doesn't include jump roping or running. It's so much fun. Stopping is a little harder than I thought it would be compared to 10, 15 years ago. But anyway, we are here this week to speak to a guest that I saw them initially in 2014's The Guest, a film that I also auditioned for, which is pretty funny. We kind of have a little chat about that. But yeah, today I get to speak to Tabatha Shaun, and they are just an incredible artist. They love music, acting, drawing, just being very expressive. Talking to them was just a really, really big treat. And we get to trade a lot of stories, and I get to hear about what happens in between the acting jobs, how the acting job started in New Mexico for them, and how it was like to navigate that, especially when things were just completely blowing up, and also serving a coffee to Ewan McGregor and not fully realizing it till afterwards, which is a really fun story. I don't mean to spoil it, but it's hilarious and a lot of fun, and I can't wait to show it to everybody. So, without further ado, let's sit down with the fantastic Tabatha Shaun.
I'm an artist living in the desert. I'm a film actor. I'm a writer. Um, I am a visual artist. I'm a musician. I love all of those things. I love all of those things. But the work that is the most shared is my film acting work.
Yeah, I had no idea you're. What do you play?
I play the guitar. So
No way.
I play the guitar. I had a very strange uncle growing up who lived on a school bus, and he told me that I needed to learn how to play the guitar, and he sang with me all of the time growing up. He died when I was a teenager, and I got a guitar then, and I learned how to play. And so a huge part of that is like my it's like my I love you to my uncle, who was like, this is the thing you got to do. um but I also really love it. I play the guitar. I did have like, it is always fun showing up to any audition that requires music. That is one of the perks, I think, of playing an instrument, is getting to carry it around
Yeah.
to an office, to a random office somewhere. That was always really fun, recording something on my on my computer to send it in. Yeah, I play the guitar. There's also a piano in my house. I don't know how
Oh
to play
yeah.
it. I play it. I have a slew of instruments, and I love poking around on all of them. Music is amazing.
What do you have one in your house outside of the piano that you just you'll walk by and just kind of like, I don't know, pick at a little bit and then put it back and walk away? Like, do you have a ukulele or like?
I do have a ukulele. I know how to play the ukulele. I've got the thing that I mess around with is I've got some connected wooden spoons.
Oh my god.
That is the thing that I touch and I slap around and I put down. Yeah, I used to play music. I used to play shows in my early 20s, and that is a thing that disappeared after I had kids. I put down a lot of things, and And then I picked the things back up, and music's one of the things that's been folding back into my life again since COVID in a really big, yummy way.
Oh, so do your kiddos enjoy playing instruments too, or are you kind of getting them used to, being around
I
instruments like
have
that?
no, I have a music house. It's loud. It feels really good. All of the instruments, apart from my guitar, all of my instruments were used.
Hmm.
It's fine if they get destroyed. They're meant to be loved. Um, yeah, so I'm also raising kids who are smacking spoons around. It's a good time in here.
Yeah, whereas, most households, if there's any sort of pattering with spoons, a lot of parents say, "No, stop it. It's annoying." But that your house is literally filled with music. I mean, that
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
I love it. I am a noisy, messy person. I love exploring. I love messes. I love messes. I love really annoying sounds too. So like this integrates itself into my life in so many ways. Like in film acting, in auditions, I make annoying noises all of the time. I record a self tape, and it's delightful. It's so fun just like playing with spaces in a script where I can make a sound.
What's an example of that? Because now I'm very intrigued.
um I mean, so there have been times where it'll like insides, it'll say that there is some type of song playing and like in the background, and I go for it. I find music to have in the, I'm like chaos. I'm audition chaos person. Like the rules that normally apply to auditions,
Yeah.
I just don't follow them. I do follow them if I don't feel comfortable not following them. But generally, like if there's music in a piece, I'm going to maybe find that exact piece, and I will probably find a spot in my audition to like incorporate that piece, like hum along to it. There was an audition that I did where I was um yelling at the end of it, and then like spun across my piano. So there was the last second of the audition, I was leaving the frame, and you just heard piano noises. I love having fun. Like that is what I do. I just, a lot of it is inviting people to like to calm down. A lot
Yeah.
of it is inviting myself to calm down. A lot of it is uh, like rem- I like, I feel like in the self-taping process I have a lot of fun
Hmm.
making a tape, finding where I can incorporate like musical sounds or just some space with my own voice to like yell or make funny noises. um and it's like a reminder that this is mega playtime.
Yeah, and you know what? That's so refreshing to hear, especially in the age of prominent self tapes where it's rules, medium shot, no sounds, no pets, no kids, but you're just pure anarchy having fun. I mean, it seems like that's going well too. I mean, you have booked jobs from that, right? I'm sure
I
there's,
have, yes.
yeah, like there's she, guys. She's not saying that while she's not getting it, you're booking jobs, so you're doing something right. That just sounds like so much fun.
I yes, okay. It also, I this is also a thing that grew. I've been in the film industry now for 15 years. So it's not a thing that I started
Yeah.
out doing. This is, I did not, I so although I will say, I what I did, my launch point though was like, I remember walking into audition rooms when I was like 18 through 20, and I would take my shoes off like a
What?
total like 1970s like Shakespearean tropey actor weirdo. I would walk into a room and I would take my shoes off. A part of that,
Oh
I was a
wow.
theater. I was also in theater, and so
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
theater kids always have their shoes off.
Yeah.
It made sense to me then. Um I keep my shoes on these days, but I've just done a lot of exploring in the process
Yeah.
of learning how to audition, and then letting a lot of that go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming up on 10 years being in this industry, and I'm finding the same thing. Like, did you feel as if you crossed a marker where you said, not that, I don't give a fuck, but I'm gonna make this my own. I'm gonna have fun with it. I mean, did you just reach a point where you said, well, the worst thing I can do is say no? And I've heard that before. Like, let's just do it.
Yes. The worst thing that's gonna happen is you're not gonna book a job.
Yeah.
And that's generally what happens, right? Like the worst thing that's gonna happen is the thing that is probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it is really important to play with it. I the point at which um I feel like I was always sort of like testing what the rules were in auditions. Now that we've moved into self-tape land, it feels so different and so fun in different ways. Um, but in person, I remember like one of the first huge shifts that I had was in my early 20s, and I had a series of auditions coming up. It was one of those weeks that it was like auditions happening every day and needing to like, and I remember this week there were just, I had so many auditions that were happening during this one week. In my 20s, I was feeling really grumpy because of the just sort of roles that I was reading for as like a very like feminine, like pretty young womany person. I felt a lot of frustration, and this
Yeah.
one week I went into all of these auditions and I just started throwing my sides on the floor as I was doing my auditions. And it wasn't like I wasn't I wasn't there was this part of me. So inside I was feeling this frustration. And then I remember I had my sides, one of my sides, it was 9 pages. And I remember the feeling of doing the scene and then just dropping the pages one at a time. And it felt like this physical release of all of the stress that I had been feeling about wanting to do everything right, like wanting to
Yeah.
show up and have everything memorized and like look really pretty. And I just had a week of overwhelm. And during that week of overwhelm, I literally let my sides go as I did that audition. I booked 2 of the roles that week. It was like my it was so good. It felt so amazing. I did have a moment of thinking like, oh, this doesn't matter. The worst that's going to happen is I don't book the job. And since then, like I have felt such freedom in playing and just like letting the things go, which is so hard, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
like it's what you hear in training forever and ever when you start acting, like you're going to let it go. It's hard to do. It's hard to get to that point.
Yeah, it's something you're constantly thinking about, especially in training. Oh, just relax, don't worry about it. Well, we are going to sweat through our clothes. We're going to worry about it because we
Mhm.
just want to work. That's like just letting the sides go one at a time, especially for like a 9-page scene. Did you just feel super refreshed at the end of that audition? I mean, you weren't thinking about it, or were you thinking about it at the very end of it? I mean, how was the result of that? I know you got the
I
job, but like,
it felt I mean, what I felt was I was also that week I was frustrated because I had had so many. It was also really exciting because I had so much good stuff to work on,
yeah,
but I just had so many things that I thought like I actually cannot memorize every single one of these. And then I thought I'm going to memorize every single one of these. And that was during a time that I was still carrying sides into an audition just as like um uh as I had some like older actor friend who was like, bring in your sides. It shows that you're malleable. And so at that time, I was like, all right, I'll bring in my sides. So I memorized the things, I brought in my sides. And after that, that was also the like, I can't, I think I stopped using sides too during that process. Um, it was like, it felt really transformative. And I did have what a casting director had shared with me afterwards. She said, Tabitha, this director loves that they can tell that you just do not care whether or not you book this job. And that just felt like such a compliment to like to um because there is this balance, like you want to show up with a sense of professionalism, and you obviously want to get work. You obviously would like to be able to work, um but also from a project to project basis, you let it go. And that feels better for me. And I think one of my favorite moments was from that week with the casting director sharing that, and that was one of the projects that I had booked. So
Wow.
uh,
Which project was it? Do you
that
remember?
was for the guest.
I fucking knew it.
So you know it.
It's like I feel like this is full transparency. I love that movie. I auditioned to be one of the bullies in that movie, and I didn't realize it until after seeing it. But yeah, you could tell that was the I don't know, like the send off of your, because you had done like Crash before that, but you are like part of this cult phenomenon. By Adam Wingard working with Dan Stevens, and seeing your career just kind of like take off from there. What was it like finally being in that place, and then also being in a film like that? Did you feel any sort of anxiety working on that shoot? Did you feel like you held on to that subtle, like, I don't really give a fuck, but this is kind of fun, kind of energy? What was that like for you?
um that that project was the project where I got on set and I thought, oh, this is any other set. This is any other project. I feel like I'm supposed to be here. Um,
Wow.
so I didn't it it was an experience that left me just feeling like I was in the right place. Um, and and it was also it was a project that was so incredibly hard for me to do. I I I remember working with Adam Wingard, and one of the first days that we had working, like doing some character work, we sat down and Adam said, Kristen is stupid. I do not want a stupid person on my set. That is why I hired you. And it was like, also, it was just this moment of realizing in a really big way the difference between like how you are perceived and who you are. It really, there was, it was really challenging. Um, it was really challenging working on a character who was like a good time cheerleader person. It was so hard. It was so insanely hard. I had nothing to draw from as an actor. and and that it was the hardest project that I have ever worked on, because this because this person, I didn't want her to just be like, I actually just didn't want her to be an idiot that got killed.
Yeah.
And I refused to play into that. And that was also why I had booked that job. So it was from just being honest in working on the sides. Like, it was just from the process of saying, like, here's a character breakdown that if I was submitting myself, I would not have submitted myself for this. I felt a lot of resistance. And then whenever I feel resistance when I get an audition, I am like, I'm going to work on this audition until I smooth out all of this like annoyance or hatred
Yeah.
at the character. I keep working with it until it's fun for me. Um, and that was what happened with that character that week.
Yeah.
And it turned into a really challenging, really fun time on set.
Yeah, and I mean, you did bring that level of gravitas to the character where she isn't this ditzy, cheerleader type. There's more to her that you could kind of see behind your eyes. But by the time we're getting to that point, you're gunned down in a diner.
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
so, I mean, following something like that, I guess I should probably pop back a little bit and ask you, because I need to ask, when did you realize you wanted to try your hand at acting? Have you always wanted to do this? Was it something you just sort of fell into? Did your parents take you to a camp and say, "We don't know what else to do with this energy. Like, we need you to stay
Oh,
here for a bit"?
is that what happened to you?
No, oh no, no. I
Sorry.
just I spent my childhood quoting Wayne's World and Tommy Boy, and then I ended up. I was going to work on the other side of the camera. Then I did a workshop, and an agent said, "Hey, you should try this out." I'm like, all right, and that's just been my approach ever since. So I'm just curious to see, when your inception into the world of acting began.
Um, I just I'm gonna share something. Um, it began. I have forever been a really quiet, introverted person. I have a lot of presence on the internet because I love internet people. I love the safety of a screen. There's also like an intimacy of the screen because there's just you and another person without all of the soundscape around you, all of the distraction. I am like deeply unsocial. When I was really little, I just fantasized about being able to fit in. And when I was in elementary school, I had just I had started memorizing movies. I remember memorizing Grease as a kid one summer. I memorized, oh my gosh, I this is such a funny question. I started fantasizing about acting when I was really small. And I started doing like theater. My family was not privileged in any way. I lived in over a dozen places by the time I was a teenager. And, um, a lot of my upbringing wasn't like physically or emotionally safe at times, and I had this deep fantasy world, and that just like repeatedly showed up in writing and in acting. So in high school, I was a thespian in high school. I worked on every production that I could. I saw a production of Little Shop of Horrors when I was about 10, and I thought like that is where I should be. Like I should be eaten by a plant. That's it. Yeah, so that fantasy, it followed me through my entire childhood. I have a letter that I wrote to myself when I was 13. it was a letter meant for my 30-year-old self. So I read that a few years ago, and I was asking myself if I was an actor, which was really sweet to see. I hadn't um it was a letter that I found while I was cleaning out my garage. And yeah, it's just a path that I have followed down forever. When I was in college, I described acting as my means of doing anthropological field work. I was like, I want to sit on a set and I want to watch how people interact with each other. Um, it became this like it became this means of like, how can I connect with other people? How can I play with other people? Yeah, for me, it's always been there, and it's always been about this wanting to form a different sort of connection with a stranger than the connections that I make with strangers online. um,
Wow. Do you see, is there like a difference now compared to then? I know, you'd said that you were kind of an introverted, shy person. The
mm,
screen really helped, but do you feel like now when you're, say, on set around people, do you feel like you are disconnected? Not like there's a facade, but you have that model to follow, or do you feel like you've kind of united in sort of artistically extroverted form of yourself with an introverted form of yourself to sort of become one and be completely fine?
no, I show up on set as myself.
Okay.
As I show up on set with a book. I show up on set like forming connections, like one-on-one connections with people. I I love I love holing up. I love getting food and being as far away from groups of people as possible, but I also love being able to catch eyes with one person on a set in a parking lot, and connect with them in that way. Which so to answer your question, I guess what I what I've become better at um is being comfortable showing up as myself. There definitely was a period of time, like in my early 20s, on set, where I felt like I needed to have an extroverted self that could be around other people. And then I learned that I can just bring my regular self, and it's fine if I just connect with one person at a time. It's fine if I have like quiet conversations with people. It's fine to just be myself. Um, and now I love acting because I love playing, and I love there's a theme here. The theme is I love connecting with strangers.
Which on a set is one of the
That's
best
it.
things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's all
it's
you're doing. There is this sort of magical quality to it. Like, you walk onto a set, the chances are, as you get further along in your career, the chances that you're going to know a couple of people on set at least are pretty good. But there's also like the fact that there are so many people swarming around on a project, and they're all strangers. And you walk onto this set, nobody knows each other, and everyone like just the way that everyone is able to come together from a point of not having intimate connections to work on a project. It's just amazing to me that like that everything gets done. Like, everyone just trusts each other. Everyone knows everyone who shows up on a set is going to do their job. They're all going to do their job, which is this thing that they love, and everyone just sort of like has to intrinsically trust in one another. On a set, walk onto a set with a whole bunch of strangers, and I feel safe. I know that everyone there loves the work that they're doing. It's so challenging to do. It's like so physically exhausting, and there's no one there who doesn't want to be there. And there's joy in knowing that, and there's safety in knowing that everyone there is a professional, and um can like play I can play around like safely.
yeah, isn't that insane? I mean, it's 3 in the morning, you guys been working for 16 hours, everyone's exhausted, people are kind of grumpy, but they're still they're still enjoying it and having fun. It's bonkers what this industry does to you when it comes to being around other people you don't know. And you're completely right, you're trusting strangers sometimes with your safety, when it comes to like
Yes.
certain things, and it always works out unless somebody's not paying attention. But for the most
Mhm.
part, everything works. So that's really cool to think about. 'Cause I guess if you've been in it for a while, you don't really acknowledge, oh yeah, I just met this person today. At this point, you're just meeting more people and popping onto a set, and then before you know it, you have like five other friends that you've connected with in 10 hours. So
Mhm.
that's just really great to think about, especially in New Mexico. It seems like because you're still living in Albuquerque, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've met almost everybody as far as crew goes, and there's a lot of actors I'm sure you just constantly run into. So, I mean, I live in Colorado, and it's the same thing. You just work with the same people usually. So, I mean, are you, especially now that COVID's sort of lifted a little bit, are you meeting more, say, like new crew members or newer actors from other areas, or does it seem like it's still that intimate space that it has been for the last 10 years or so?
Oh, I mean, I always feel like there's always new people.
Yeah.
There are always new people on a set. It's really exciting to see someone that, I've known for 15 years and be able to um have snacks and talk to someone. Um there is a lot of familiarity. It's always still really exciting, which is so fun. Like running into people that on a set is always so delightful. It's never not fun. and and so there is that familiarity that happens in the market like Albuquerque, but it also, like, I'm always meeting new people. There's never not new people on a set. There are always so many conversations to be had. And I yeah, I'm not finding myself in any sense like feeling sort of in a familiar space. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
last project that I worked on, it was the last project that I worked on was a project where at this point now it's always exciting because if you don't know someone, you meet someone on a set and you don't know them, you'll very quickly learn how you do know them. Like you're
That's
very
so true.
easily, yeah, like it takes all of you work with someone over the course of the day and you've realized like the 10 different ways in which you're actually connected to this person that you've never seen before. um and that is also like shrinking world feeling. I have a lot of wonder. I have like a great deal of wonder for like for the industry, for which I love so much because it's connecting strangers with playtime, with
Mm.
this sort of like grand carnival experience of like orderly chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, the more familiarity that happens on a set, I think the greater my sense of wonder about how small our world actually is grows.
That's internal revelation of, oh wow,
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, and you're living in this modern episode, essentially the new Hollywood in Albuquerque. And if you're not working on sets and you're not auditioning, I do want to know, outside of a house full of instruments and music, what else do you like to do outside of the industry that keeps you sane, or is your safe place, so to speak?
Everywhere is my safe place. Everywhere. I do so many things. Um, yeah, I live Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's the high desert. It's really dry here. When you go outside during the winter, it looks like a weird nightmare. Um, everywhere that you go in the high desert looks like a weird nightmare. It's why surrealist painters, I guess, just painted a bunch of weird brown
Yeah.
nothing spaces. That's where I live. And it feels amazing to walk around in. I do a lot of hiking in dirt. I do a lot of hiking in dirt under the sun. I also I write. I'm currently writing like a memoir love story graphic novel to my best friend that I've known since I was 12. We dated for 5 years during our adolescence, and he was someone that like he was so special to my heart. So
Oh,
I'm working
wow.
on that right now. I also am a visual artist. I like playing with charcoal. I I have like another business that doesn't make money. I have a business that doesn't make money. I make I make like soft soled weird baby shoes out of like leather and pieces of fabric that I find in thrift stores.
Oh,
Um
wow.
so I make like leather baby shoes for I'm like, is it for fun? Is
For a
it
night on the town.
um I I do a lot of things. I love reading. I don't watch a lot of things. I just watched all of Twin Peaks The Return though, like late at night over the course of a few months. I try to avoid binging on things. It's not good for my body,
Oh, no.
for my brain. But I tend like if I am going to watch something, I will watch something that's really thought out and I watch it really late at night. So like David Lynch things really late at night, Charlie Kaufman really
Oh,
late at
my
night,
God.
things where I can feel like I'm having some sort of transcendent experience
Yeah.
really late at night. Yeah, that's what I fill my life with. I fill my life, I make art and I like watching funny like I like watching bizarre things in the evenings and I feel really good sharing. I feel like really good about my life sharing all of this. I COVID has been a weird. It's been a
Yeah.
weird. But um yeah, I feel like there is this strange fullness that has happened at the same time of really feeling out like what I love doing and what I want to
Mm.
explore.
I mean, I you had me at late night Lynch. That's how
Mhm.
does that not does that just encroach on your dreams when you go to bed after that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like,
My
yes.
God.
I have like dreams that are like integrating my partner into like episodes that we watched earlier that day. It all it it feels so good.
Wow.
Um yeah, I do love watching like I love watching a weird project late at night. There's I don't think any better time to do it.
I've never tried watching Twin Peaks late at night just because I thought, I might not be mentally prepared for that, but I'm gonna have to try it now. That
Yes.
sounds phenomenal. I think I ended up watching, what was it? Haunting of Hill House a second time in a row, but I would watch each episode at, like, 3 in the morning
Oh
and then go
yeah,
to bed.
I am familiar with that. That is yeah, that is how I watch projects. That's how
Yeah.
I watch things. When when you're already like in a very strange state, which is
Yeah.
probably kind of delusional and manic, it actually feels like really nice to sort of push your brain. Um I watched that really late at night also.
Yeah. I'm glad
I
I'm not
have,
alone.
yeah, there are feelings in my body of like, oh, I remember that experience. I remember that summer of doing that.
I just I think there's a lot of listeners of this podcast as well who will agree like that's the best time to absorb a project. Uh,
Yes.
just letting everything go, letting your day go. And it also could, it could be a wonderful project such as that, or like, you watch a Pauly Shore movie at 3 in the morning, and then you wake up thinking
Oh,
that was the best experience ever. And then you watch it during the day, and you go, never mind.
yeah, every experience feels better. It's like, yes, every experience feels, because it is a sacred hour.
Yeah.
Anything past 11 o'clock, I think you have stepped into like, you're no longer in like the zombie brain. Um,
Yeah.
which happens which is why I say that I don't like binge watching. Like, because binge watching is like, oh, now I am a zombie. And it's usually happening like when you could be awake. um, but when you're supposed to be sleeping, you move past. It's like you're like a child and at a sleepover, and everyone has stayed up super late, and you get the
Yes.
second wind. And so everything that you consume, I think after 11 p.m., you're moving into like a completely different headspace.
The fact that you said second wind just brought me back to being like 10 years old. Like, yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
should try watching Terminator again. I think it'll be better. We'll be maybe we'll understand it more. I,
It'll be better.
I,
Yes.
what is what's next for you? I mean, you're obviously you have a bunch of projects coming up. You're still sending in self tapes. I mean, one, what's next for you as far as what you plan to do? And two, what would you like to do? Is there somebody you like to work with? Is there a project you like to hop on? What's next for Tabitha?
What's next for me? I just did an ADR session project, um, for a project that's going to be released at some point this year, and that I thought I was done with that, but then suddenly I got like thrown back into it. This last a couple of days ago, and that was so exciting. So that's back on my mind. Thinking about thinking I'm just a little bit tethered into that moment again. So I do have one really fun project that I got to work on last summer, coming up, and I have um I mean, I'm at a place now where every it feels like I'm in a really good kind of waiting game. Like, I'm not at the place anymore in my career where I'm like sort of like drudging along, wondering why I'm doing the thing. I'm in a different space now, which is like I love the thing that I do, and I feel so at home on set. And my agent has been, I mean, she sent me an email recently that was just like, it's okay that this other thing, like, it's okay that you were passed on. This is amazing that you were being considered for this. And so I'm at a point now where everything feels like, I feel like I'm on the precipice of like really good things, because I have been working on like everything that I've been working on, um everything that I've worked on for like the last 5 years, I love. I'm just in love with. Um so I'm just continuing to send in my self tapes. I'm continuing to like to play, and um I'm also showing up for myself in like other creative ways a lot more. I am starting to like tiptoe back into like playing music, and starting to like share music with other people again. So I have this like I just feel like I really glad that I made it through my 20s. My 20s were no one told me that my 20s would be so grueling. And I thought they'd be like sexy and they're not. um
Isn't
I
that
made it
funny?
out yeah, yeah. I I made it out of my 20s and so what's next for me is that I get to like keep working on I get to like continue getting sides that are like increasingly interesting. Um like I just get better and better sides every time I get an audition and that feels so good. Um dream people to work with. I mean, I feel like I'm the I know it's a I don't want to dream people things because every time that I've worked on like a project, I wind up being cast with someone and I'm like, "Oh, how did I get here?" There was like I worked on the pilot episode of Preacher. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I got to the table read and I like sat down and someone said like, "Oh, hey, you do not are you are you our goth girl? You do not look how you looked in your audition. It's so good to meet you. I'm Seth." And I like turned and I was like, "This is Seth Rogen. What am I doing here? How did this happen?" I worked on a project last summer. I had no idea like I got to the table read and I was like, "Oh, I'm sitting across from Queen Latifah. Where am I?
Oh my
Like,
god.
what am I doing?" So there's like there's fantasizing that I could do about like dream people that I would like to work with. I mean, I love Miranda July. Miranda July makes
Yes.
like a single project every 10 years of her life. Um, but um, uh, there's like Miranda July and all of the people who surround her are just this sort of bizarre entanglement of bodies. I would love to work with anyone connected with her. Um, but in general, I don't like to fantasize because I also like I experience so frequently showing up on set and not understanding what I what I'm doing there. I'm like it just feels like magic anyway. I show up and I'm like surprised by like a lot of the times I won't get that. I won't get the information. I won't know who's working on a project with me, and then I get a list the morning of, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this is totally insane, and I did not. I think just keeping my like brain open for
Yeah.
anything feels like the best option.
Oh yeah. I mean, you worked with incredible people. And it goes to show a lot of my friends, same thing. Like, yeah, you would not guess who I'm working with today. And I didn't even fucking know.
It's amazing. Yeah, this industry is so magical. It's like and the thing that I love the most about it is like because we so often don't know who we're showing up on set and we're like, "Oh, what? Where am I? Who am I working with?" But then you are but then you realize like, "Oh, I am I am part of this. I am everyone like I am also integral to this project.
Yeah.
Everyone is here like working together on a thing and there's like again like it's really just this sense of wonder and like deep thankfulness that comes up every time I work on something. And I always think like, "Oh, I should do more research on what I'm um auditioning for." But there's such joy in actually not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a dangerous line at that point too. If you research what you're going into, you could go too heavy on what that style is when your natural cadence could be the thing that brings you in, that like, oh, we
Mhm.
love that because it's not like every other person who's auditioned. So
Mhm.
that's fantastic. And given your career, I have two favorite questions I ask on this podcast. But the first one being, if you have a party story, that which I'm sure you've, because you said you listened to some of the episodes, which is awesome. But if you have a story that you would tell at a party or maybe a gathering of people, something that is, maybe one of the best moments of your life on set, maybe something that happened outside of set, but something that stuck with you for so long that you will never forget how to tell it. Do you have a story like that that you could share with us?
No, I don't. I don't have that. I don't have like a thing. I don't have I mean, the closest thing I probably have to the thing was my complete confusion over working on a Seth Rogen project. That was like utter confusion.
Just because, I mean, that's definitely one of those moments where you, yeah, like you said, it looked like you were just there based on the way you were telling it. Like, oh, wait, what? You're producing? Okay, cool. This is happening. I don't know how to navigate that, but I mean, it could even
Mhm,
be, do you have a really painstaking audition experience that you remember, maybe early on in your career, or even, I don't know, just something that that your kiddos have done. It could be
mhm.
anything. If you
Hmm,
really don't
hmm,
have
hmm,
anything,
hmm.
I'm gonna let you off the hook with the Seth Rogen thing, but I have
Okay.
to pry a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
I love
Mm,
asking this question.
I want to like I want to give you something juicy. Um, okay. Me um a story. The well, it's fine. I'm I don't go to parties. I
Don't go to
don't tell
parties.
I don't go to parties. I don't tell stories. Okay. I have I have one story that is sort of related to the industry.
Oh boy.
This is I just have a this is like a tiny moment at the beginning of my acting career. When I was 18, I was working in a cafe, like I was a barista, and there and I was also I'm queer. I and at the time I had identified as a lesbian, and I was um really good at like giving people free things all over the place, and I got fired for giving someone
Oh
free
no.
things. um I was like that I should not work for other people. I don't respect it at all. Which is probably why I have my own business now, because I can give away things for free, um on my own accord, steal from my own
Yeah.
company money or whatever. The point is, I was working at this cafe. I was like flirting with all of the people. Everyone was super gorgeous. Like when you're 18, everyone is super gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
Um, and and I had experienced night. This one night, I had this person come into the cafe, and he was just like the super nice person, and he made some kind of like weird request about wanting his latte in a glass, and I was like, this is a cute guy. I'm gonna i'm gonna do all the weird stuff he's asking for. And um and i and i helped him out, and it was like the first time in my like it was like the first time in my baby adult life that I was like, oh, I'm kind of crushing on this person that's not like a like like female person. And I told my friend Alex, um I turned around and I said like, hey Alex, I think if I was gonna date a guy, I think maybe that kind of guy. That guy was pretty cute. And Alex was like, Tabitha, Tabitha, if you were gonna date a guy, you might date Ewan McGregor? And,
What?
and I was like, what? And he was like, we are all standing here watching you flirt with Ewan McGregor, and you might date him. It was like this beautiful. I turned around and I was like,
Oh
oh,
my God.
that's Ewan McGregor. He's pretty cute. I might date him. I love the idea that like as an 18-year-old, I was sitting there thinking like, should I go hit on this kind of cute guy? Like completely unaware because of like there is that disparity. Like when you see someone out of place, out of their context, when
True.
you're me, maybe you won't recognize them. That was like such a joyful, that was a yummy little moment of like baby me. And I watched like the rest of the night, I just watched people like show up in Star Wars attire. Over the course of the night, I was like, okay, I will buy. Yes, I guess that is Ewan McGregor, and I guess I won't be asking him out. I did watch Moulin Rouge like 2 weeks ago though, and I was like,
Still, yeah.
what a babe.
I mean, I mean, I say relatively heterosexual man because there are people like that where I go, yeah, I would totally date that guy.
Mhm.
But yeah, especially the fact that you didn't really recognize who he was.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. See, all the best party stories come from somebody who says, "I don't really have anything," and then that comes out.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it was like a day. I make a fool out of myself a lot, and I and it's because I feel like I'm a perpetually confused person, and it leads to a lot of this. I have been on set like talking. I was like on set talking to Jane Addams once, and then I realized afterwards like I was talking to her like I knew her,
Yeah.
like asking her like about her life. and we had this like really great chat. And then I realized like, oh, that was Jane Addams. That's how I know her. I don't. And that's also like that's what happens too when you're an actor. Like I am
Yeah.
experiencing like I do experience like people writing me, like connecting with me, and just sort of going along the ride with like going along for the ride.
Yeah, you know what? From at least from what I've experienced, a lot of those artists respect you more for just talking to them as a normal human being instead of freaking out because they're just people. You just
Yeah.
yeah.
I should have just asked out Ewan McGregor. I'm like,
Honestly,
hey,
yeah.
you're pretty cute. Did you like
How's your drink? I put it in the glass for
yes.
you. Are
Yeah.
you around later tonight? Just asking.
Yeah. It
Uh,
is I do love my baby adult self
yeah.
for I mean my current self is a lot like that too. I'm
I,
I'm humbled. I'm humbled
yeah.
all of the time.
I am imagining you working with him at some point in the future and sharing that story and him getting quite the chuckle out of it.
Mm,
Just
what a babe. It's funny. He's yeah. You know what's really funny now is that I I didn't have like I didn't have a crush on him before. It wasn't until I made a latte for him and didn't know who he was and was like, what a kind person with weird drink requests.
Oh, he's an actor. This makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, now that yeah, that also is that's funny. Yes.
Well, that that spins perfectly into one of our last questions, which is, if you have any advice for listeners tuning into this episode right now, whether they are artists who are just trying to get into this industry, especially now, which is a weird time, or those of us who've been in for a while, do you have anything that maybe you've held on to that you could instill upon our listeners? Is there anything that you could share advice wise?
Mm, yeah, I think my advice, I think it's the most important to be unapologetically yourself.
Mm.
That's that's really that's really it. And it's hard to do that when you're first starting out. It's a reminder that you need sometimes. I mean that I need sometimes as I'm moving through the industry now. It's really easy to look around you when you're first starting,
Hmm.
like in classes or in the audition room, and it's really easy to want to give people what you think they want, and a much better choice is to be you. Like that's I feel like that's I'm just feeling like I'm feeling the weight of just that sentiment.
Yeah.
Um there was one the most impactful um class that I took. I was 20, and the casting director, um she she looked at me and she said, "You are enough." And that that spilled over into every audition that I've had ever since. It's that sense that you don't need to you don't this goes back to our earlier conversation about
Mm.
like doing your homework, looking people up. Maybe you don't need to do that. Like there is so much that any script offers. And um there's also Sir Ian McKellen had the as like there's like the conversation with him where he says about like being an actor that you just need to imagine yourself doing the thing and then doing it. Like you just if I'm going to be a wizard, then let me think like how would I be a wizard, and then I just be the wizard. It really is that what that comes down to is like if you were going to do the thing, how would you do the thing?
Yeah.
If you were going to follow your own path, how would you follow your own path? And that's that's so important. Like don't follow anyone else's path.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that's more of a detriment than anything.
Yeah.
You're just
But it
comparing.
yeah, but there's it's and comparing is such a trap. Like for a new actor, it is that's all that you have. You're like just you're in a sea of people, and it's and even now there's like this incredible interconnectivity with video like TikTok and like Instagram reels. You can just see there are just millions of people out there, and like emulating anybody else is no bueno. It's just a bad it's a bad move
Yeah,
unless you're a comedian and working on impersonations. That's a good move.
it's fair.
Everyone else, like for an actor, like being yourself. And the other important thing is like do other things with your life. Like you need to do other things with your life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like like be unapologetically yourself when you show up in any space. And also when you are not working on a project, you need to live your life and like stop which is another danger of like a new actor, of getting focused, like really hyper focusing on like, when is my next audition going to come in, what could I have done with my last audition, like getting into that pattern of just being analytical and in just like a stasis, just a stagnant hell of like self-absorption. It's that happened like in my early 20s, and I was like, ugh, yeah, like what is repulsive? Like the way to avoid being repulsed by yourself is to like look outside of yourself and live your life and find other things outside of this industry that make you feel good. And if you show up as like a whole person instead of like a fragmented state of yourself who is just showing up as an actor, you just have so much more to offer, not being a fragmented self.
Yeah, and they catch on to that, especially
Mhm.
casting directors. If you're obsessed with just acting, may not be a lot of fun to have on set.
Yeah.
Maybe pretty bad. And speaking on that, uh, we're gonna dial into the acting part because I want to know: is there anything you'd like for me to promote in this episode? Could be past work, could be future work, could be something you're really passionate about, could be your business. Anything that I can tie to this episode that you're thinking of? Maybe we could mollasa
Hmm.
toddler.
No. Yeah. I do have, I mean, my business is fun. It's not like it's not like the love of my life. It's like, how can I it's also confusing because I said earlier, like, oh, my business doesn't make any money. It doesn't. I'm like, it's really frustrating doing my taxes. And I'm like, wait, do I actually really enjoy this? Because it's not paying me. Um, so, okay, your question. For your question. Yeah, I am extremely excited about this. I mean, there's one super dorky project that I worked on in the past called Thank You Five. That project is, oh my God, I love this project. I got to work. I got to work with some of my favorite people. I got to work with one of my close friends who I had worked on stage productions before. And I like him and I were Romeo and Tybalt years and years ago. And then we worked on this series together about community theater called Thank You Five. Like that's on the internet. I love that series so much. It's so dear to me. And then I'm also really excited about a project that is coming up in Netflix at some point this year. That's the project I just did ADR for, which is exciting because it means that they are like, they're tying it all up. They're making it pretty. And that project is called End of the Road. I got to have so much fun on this set. I got to do so many things that it was an experience that I had I had no idea what I would need to like prepare to work on it. So yes, I'm excited for that to release. And that's, yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up because I have never seen I saw that on your resume. I've never seen Thank You Fives, and I have to look that up and just dive into it.
It's like a mockumentary style show.
Yes.
The episodes are all like 12 minutes long. It's super short, it's super sweet, and the actors are so like, and the thing that I love the most about this is that the actors, like almost all of us are film actors, and almost all of us started in stage like together.
Oh no
So
way.
getting to like translate the like transition, like getting to translate like theater to film and
Yeah.
transition working with people from theater into a film space, it was so beautiful. We shot it like over the summer in a theater, like in a local theater. And I'm so I just feel so proud to know all of the people that I
Yeah.
worked on that show with.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to tune into it. And um I'm looking forward to End of the Road too, because I don't think there's any trailers for that yet.
There's
To
no
confirm.
trailers. It just showed up
Okay.
in like a coming to Netflix thing the other day, and I was like,
Oh.
oh, I was excited. I was excited. I was like, oh, look, it's actually being released. That's fantastic.
That's the best
Woo!
feeling, right? Like, oh, cool.
Ah,
I can watch it. I
great.
can see it. People are
Yeah.
gonna see it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. It is a really good feeling to know that like a project that you've worked on hasn't been like slashed or is like sitting indefinitely in post.
Yep. We're gonna put it on the shelf for 10 years, then we'll
Yeah.
release that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
I want to thank you for being a part of this show. This has been so much fun chatting with you, and I don't know. I feel like I've known you for years. It's crazy. Just sitting down, chatting, goofing off, talking about art stuff. I do have one more thing I need to do before we finish recording the episode, and that is conduct our awkward goodbye. I'm not sure if you've listened to that part of previous episodes, but it's outside of the party story question, it's my number one favorite thing about this show, and that is I'll give you a silent Wayne's World countdown, and when I point, you give us your best verbal awkward goodbye. Think you might be ready for it? She's absorbing the information. She's ready. I'm gonna give you a countdown. And
Um, this I was this was this was fun. But bye.